welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're unpacking a really crucial and, let's face it, complex topic. How do we actually combat hate speech on social media? We've got this fascinating piece, an article by Louise Valerio Pitrandade, and it lays out a pretty clear framework for action.
It does.
So our mission isn't just, to summarize it. We want to pull out the surprising bits, the really impactful nuggets from this source.
Right.
Focusing on concrete solutions and what they mean for the digital spaces we all live in now.
Exactly. And this deep dive, it aims to go beyond just defining hate speech. The authors covered that before.
Okay.
We're looking at actionable strategies. And importantly, acknowledging that what happens online has real, tangible impacts on people's lives.
Yeah, that connection is key.
It is. And it's also probably a good moment to remember that even, advanced AI tools, they aren't a magic bullet.
Right. Not foolproof.
Not without critical human thinking behind them.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's unpack this. Let's dive into the core challenges and the paths forward that the author suggests.
Sounds good.
So the source kicks off by really hammering home a fundamental truth. Online and offline, they aren't separate worlds. And this isn't just some philosophical idea. It seems to be the bedrock for understanding why online harm feels so real.
Yeah, what's really insightful here is how the author consistently emphasizes this point. Attitudes, behaviors online, they directly impact people. They cause real pain.
Right.
And this raises a pretty important question for all of us, really. If we mentally keep these two realities separate, how can we ever truly address the harm that starts online? It's a really powerful idea to start with, even before we get into solutions.
Exactly. Recognizing that connection, that seamlessness, that's one thing.
Yeah.
But turning that into actual change, that's the real challenge, isn't it?
It is.
So how does the author suggest we start? How do we begin to sort of dismantle this issue piece by piece?
Well, the author proposes fighting hate speech needs a comprehensive approach. Multi-front, really.
Okay.
Built on 4 interconnected pillars. And interestingly, these proposals go back to 2018, but they show significant overlap with arguments from the UN Commission on Human Rights in 2020.
So they've held up. They have relevance.
Definitely highlights their enduring relevance, yeah.
Okay, 4 pillars. That gives us a structure which is helpful for such a messy problem. Let's dive into the first one.
Let's do it.
So the first cornerstone is all about education, particularly, it seems, for young people. The source highlights that in Italy, for example, a big chunk of social media users are, between 15 and 20 years old.
That's right, a key demographic.
And yeah, educate the youth can sound a bit obvious sometimes. But what's striking here are the really specific, almost counterintuitive points the author makes for this group.
Right. For this vital age group, the author points to 5 key things. First, just reinforcing that online and offline aren't separate. Your online actions, they have real-life negative impacts.
Okay. Basic but crucial.
Second, making them aware of potential legal consequences. For spreading racial intolerance, xenophobia online, it's not consequence-free.
Important. What's third?
Third, giving them clear guidance. How and who do you report this stuff to if you see it, or if you're a victim?
Practical steps.
Good. Fourth, and this is interesting, teaching them how not to amplify intolerant voices. Basically, don't share or replicate the content.
Don't give it oxygen.
Exactly. And fifth, and this is where it gets particularly nuanced, I think, avoiding getting drawn into arguments with intolerant people. Those who just thrive on controversy, not actual civil discussion.
Wow, okay. That last point, basically, don't engage. That feels subtle but actually really powerful in today's, attention economy.
It really is, isn't it?
It's like starving the trolls of the very fuel they're looking for.
Precisely. It's about not feeding the beast, understanding some people just want to provoke, and sometimes walking away is actually more impactful than trying to argue.
That makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
So moving beyond educating individuals, the source also points out that our laws, they seem to struggle to keep up with all this digital stuff.
Yeah.
It feels like we're always playing catch-up.
That really highlights the urgent need for our laws to evolve. A standout example is Germany.
Right.
Back in June 2017, they passed a law basically requiring social media companies to remove offensive content, illegal stuff, fake news immediately, like within 24 hours.
24 hours, that's fast.
It is. And the risk,
Uh-huh.
fines up to 50 million euros.
Wow.
So looking at that bigger picture, it really shows what's possible when there's political will for, legislative adaptation. It shows a rapid legal response can actually happen.
Okay, so that ties into law. Now, that brings us to what the author calls out as a distinct third pillar, promoting public awareness campaigns.
Right.
We touched on education for youth in the first pillar, but this seems broader, like aiming at everyone else.
Exactly. Well, the first pillar is more about, say, building digital literacy in young people. This third one targets a wider societal shift. Adults, institutions.
Okay.
Fostering a collective understanding of online responsibility and the fact that hate speech has shared consequences.
So what's the main difference in approach then?
Well, the key distinction is really scale and target audience. Youth education is often, in schools, focused on individual digital citizenship.
Right.
Public awareness campaigns, they're usually mass media things. Think TV ads, PSAs, big online campaigns.
Gotcha.
Designed to educate the whole population that the virtual world isn't some lawless zone where normal rules don't apply.
Yeah, not the Wild West.
Precisely. And these campaigns should clearly spell out the legal consequences, too, for racism, xenophobia, homophobia, misogyny, all of it, reinforcing that online actions have real-world repercussions for everyone.
So it's about shifting the whole societal narrative, not just individual behavior. And crucially, it sounds like the author doesn't let the tech giants off the hook here.
Right.
There's a need to pressure the big companies that own these platforms, right? Pillar 4.
Absolutely. That's the fourth pillar. The source really stresses the need for these companies to implement more effective tools. Tools for rapid removal of offensive content that users report.
Rapid being the key word there.
Definitely. Several reports indicate that current response times are just too slow, and that creates this dangerous sense of impunity. Users feel like they can get away with it.
And when we talk about effective tools, you mentioned earlier, AI isn't foolproof. How does that complexity factor in for the companies? It sounds like a huge challenge.
Oh, it's a massive technical job. It's not just about hiring more people to look at posts.
Right.
It involves really sophisticated AI for detection, but that AI has to navigate this delicate balance between being fast and being accurate.
Tricky balance.
Very. And the sheer amount of content means companies are in this constant arms race against people finding new ways to spread hate. The AI struggles with context, nuance, new slang.
So humans are still essential.
Absolutely. Human review remains indispensable for getting it right.
Okay, and what about user privacy and all this? Where's the line?
Well, the privacy policies need to be crystal clear.
How so?
They need to communicate that these platforms are not havens of impunity. It means if competent authorities make a formal request, the companies can and will disclose personal data.
What?
And users can then be held accountable under their country's laws. It's about setting clear expectations for digital responsibility.
Got it. So beyond these 4 big pillars, education, laws, public awareness, company action, the article also gives some specifics, right? Like actual resources.
It does, yeah. It lists some specific mechanisms and resources available in Italy for reporting abuse and getting help.
And that really drives home the message, you are not alone.
Exactly. It's a crucial practical element offering real, tangible support.
What are some examples?
Well, the source mentions Anti-Hater Social Promotion Association. They do information, awareness, support, advice. They act as a contact point for victims.
Yeah.
And when the source talks about them using technology or defense tools, that could mean things like developing reporting apps, using data to track abuse patterns, or giving victims practical guides and even legal templates.
Wow. Quite comprehensive.
Then there's OSCAD, that's the Observatory for Security Against Discriminatory Acts. It's part of the Department of Public Security, helping victims of hate crimes, making reporting easier.
So official government support too.
Yes, and the National Network for Countering Hate Speech, which brings different organizations together, and UNOR, the National Office Against Racial Discrimination, which is state-mandated to ensure equal treatment.
So it's not just theoretical. There are actual places people can go, resources they can use. That must give people a sense of agency when things feel overwhelming.
Definitely. It provides concrete pathways.
Okay, so stepping back and looking at the whole picture.
Yeah.
These proposals, these pillars, the resources, they might not be the final answer, the definitive solution.
No, probably not definitive.
But they offer clear paths forward, don't they? They seem aimed at helping all of us, society, view this whole thing differently, with a more informed, critical eye.
Exactly. through both prevention and punishment, preventative actions and punitive ones.
It feels like a call to action, really, a reminder that we can't just shrug and let these destructive patterns, this hate speech, just become a normal, accepted part of being online.
Which raises that important, maybe slightly uncomfortable question. What actually happens if we fail? If we do let hate speech become normalized online?
The source is pretty blunt about that, isn't it?
It is.
It says that scenario would be a real defeat for everyone, not just in Italy, but globally.
It's a sobering thought.
Definitely. Something to really consider as you navigate your own digital world and think about what you see and how you engage with it. Thanks for deep diving with us today.